When US President Donald Trump managed to get all the players to the table to end the war in Gaza, world leaders all descended upon Egypt, not only just for the photo op, to just also be part of such a significant moment to finally have some peace in the Middle East. Hello, everyone. I'm Adrienne Batra. With me are Brian Lilley and Warren Kinsella. So, Warren, the table is set. The leaders are signing and smiling for the cameras. The war between Israel and Hamas pretty much coming to an end. World leaders all descend upon Egypt, as I said, including Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney, who I believe it was a very last moment for him to go, understandably. But as the Toronto Sun's Brian Pascafum is now just reporting, getting Mark Carney there, Warren, cost taxpayers almost $1 million.
Yeah, and our guy's been doing great reporting on it. I think we should show the photo. We should show the photo now of Mark Carney with the other leaders smiling there.
Mm-hmm.
So just so everybody understands, that photo cost you nearly $1 million because Mark Carney's contribution to that meeting was bupkis. It was zero. In fact, Marco Rubio had said previously, the U.S. Secretary of State, that Canada and the UK and France actually were an impediment to achieving peace in Gaza and the Middle East with the recognition of the so-called Palestinian state. So what Mark Carney was doing there, it took serious balls, pardon the expression, for him to show up. But as it has also turned out, it took serious amount of dough, like $1 million nearly, for him to show up and contribute nothing to the outcome.
We have to say why.
Why? Yeah. Why was he there? Why?
No, why did it cost that much?
Well, the reason
because our military planes couldn't take him.
That's right. He had to charter a private plane.
Yeah, we've got a military jet, an Airbus, to take him on trips like this. I think we've got two of them, and neither one could go because it was decided last minute. I think the summit happened on a Sunday, and it was late Friday or early Saturday they decided he was going. How you can't get your plane ready that quick is beyond me. So yeah, they chartered it. And Warren's correct. It was just for a photo op. You will recall that he had a bit of FaceTime with Trump on stage, and they chatted for a little bit. That's probably a good thing, although he didn't exactly capitalize on it. That was the time where Trump referred to him as president and then said, well, at least I didn't call you governor. Mm-hmm. Was he just going to try and make peace with Trump? Perhaps, because as Warren pointed out, Marco Rubio did say, this is, we were being an impediment. The Americans were angry with us for our position on Israel and in recognizing a Palestinian state. So this was an attempt to, I think, butter up the president, and we haven't gotten much from it. We'll see if we do with this new ambassador, who they have not officially named, and yet his name is being floated everywhere, Mark Wiseman, at least a new face to represent Canada down in Washington, because the current ambassador has not been doing a good job.
Well, I think, earlier, Warren, I mean, we would say it took a lot of chutzpah for Carney to show up at the photo op. I guess it gives a whole new meaning to $1 million smile, but it really is extraordinary that he probably thought, his staff probably thought, this is happening. All the other world leaders are going to be there, or significant world leaders are there. You need to be there. So they kind of shoehorn him there. It's not like they're going to turn him away if the Canadian Prime Minister shows up to this event. So I guess, we always talk about, what's the value? Canadians got little value for him showing up, particularly because the Liberals' position on the recognition of the Palestinian state and how they have, frankly, treated this whole situation since October 7th. It just seems very disingenuous to me.
Well, and it's also bad politics. Can I tell you guys a war story very quickly? As you know, I used to work for this Chrétien guy, and when we were in opposition, an organizer in your home province of Saskatchewan, who I will not name, Adrienne, decided to impress the new leader of the Liberal Party and show up at the airport where Chrétien was, stumbling out of a tiny plane that was not first class, and he showed up with kind of a stretch limo, something like that, that was available locally. And Chrétien just lost his temper and said, "Get that thing the hell out of here. I'm only riding in a Chevy." And all the events were delayed for the day because Chrétien recognized, and all the smart politicians like Ford and Lastman and Klein all recognized the importance of flying economy and looking like, or trying to show some sympathy to the hardship that people are experiencing, especially right now when the number one political issue in the world is affordability. Spending close to $1 million to show up for a photo, like that's just completely outrageous. And it's something I couldn't see Chrétien or Harper ever doing in a million years.
Well, I remember, Brian, when Harper became prime minister and his cabinet was being sworn in, and instead of the limousine, the Liberals would always bring the limos up to the Governor General's residence. The Harper folks showed up in minivans, and I think that was to, sort of project to the country that it's a new world order here. We're not going to be frivolous with your money. But last word to you, Brian. Um, you know, Prime Minister Carney is generally pretty flippant on things. You can tell that when he doesn't want to answer a question, he gets his back up against the wall. Who cares is a prime example of that, or
Yeah.
tells people to look inside themselves. Very, very patronizing. I think this is going to be, again, for the PMO, one of those who cares moments, how much money they spent.
If he gets asked about it, I think he will just be dismissive of it, and I think a good part of the Canadian public will say, "Yeah, that's fine. We're good with you doing that." Does he lose any of the voters that flipped over to him in the last election as our savior? Not sure, but the more he's dismissive, the more he will alienate voters. And just to give you another Saskatchewan reference in this short video about flying to Egypt, Brad Wall used to make sure that he booked economy and that he was at the back of the plane and then would get on last when he was premier so that everyone could see him walking to the back of the plane, sitting near the bathroom.
That's a good politician.
Yeah. And he stayed popular the whole time he was in office. I've said that Mark Carney's dismissiveness could end up being something that brings him down, but he also appears to be one of those guys that people will just forgive because, well, he's a rich elitist banker. What else do you expect?
Well, perhaps Mark Carney just will respond with, who cares? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and go to thetorontosun.com. You'll find commentary and coverage there you will not find anywhere else.